The big game that we have this weekend, Sean, the one that is going to impact the standings of the SEC, especially the SEC East, is Tennessee versus Georgia. This game is being played at Georgia. It is a 1-3 per the college football playoff rankings. Now, this game, I think, has the most volatility for what people anticipate is going to be the outcome of this game. When we had Alabama versus Tennessee, it felt like most people leaned Alabama, but those that were looking for an exciting storyline were rooting for Tennessee. In this game, I feel like I can't find anyone that meets in the middle. It's either one way or the other. So, Sean, I want to go to you first here on this before I give my take. Who do you like in this game? Who do you think is going to win with Georgia playing at home?
Well, according to ESPN's matchup predictor, which is just a nice little pie chart, 74.5% of the public thinks that Georgia is going to win this game, with a 25.5% thinking that Tennessee will win
Hey,
this
thanks for
game.
discrediting me. Thanks for discrediting my opening statement on the game. Thanks.
I think Tennessee has an offense that doesn't really bow down to anyone. Same with Georgia's defense, but I don't know. I'm going to use some homerism and probably go with Tennessee. I think Tennessee's got they have too many players. They have too many players. All right. And we're looking, and I hate you because you always bring it up, especially when I bring it up. Good offense, good defense. And then you always turn it back to that Super Bowl between the Broncos and the Seahawks, where the Seahawks stomped them out.
Actually,
Okay.
you're the one who always turns back to that. I've never brought that up once. You've brought it up every single time you've brought that game up. It's never been me, but continue. You're making a good point.
I always because I played on the offensive side, lean towards the offense, and because Tennessee's defense, even though you had pointed out that their pass defense has been rather sloppy and atrocious at times, they have held up enough to win games. They've held up enough. And if they've held up enough to this point versus the offenses that they've played, they can hold up against the Georgia offense led by, again, dark horse Heisman candidate Stetson Bennett. They can hold up against them. I know you're not a big Stetson Bennett guy. It is what it is. But I kind of know that it's not Bryce Young and it's not CJ Stroud or even Max Duggan leading this team. So I think Tennessee's defense can hold on just enough against Georgia, and then their offense, who's stopping them?
So there was one parallel that I heard this week that I really liked, and someone compared Tennessee to LSU that I heard in the year that they won a national championship game. And I think it was Josh Pate who said this, that each week they progressively got better and better. And that's what Tennessee's done right now. Their bad secondary was unstoppable last week against Kentucky. They held Will Levis under 100 yards passing. He had the worst game that I've ever seen him have. Now, a lot of that came from the pressure that was in his face and the way that they were able to get after him. While I do kind of agree with that take, I think my realistic sense in evaluating this game, I really lean Georgia, Sean. I really heavily lean Georgia. And you properly predicted my thoughts on this. Good defense in my eyes, I think, stops any strong offense. It is far easier, in my opinion, if you have a front to back elite defense with 5-star recruits, you can stop any offense in the country. And if any team is going to slow down this air raid, explosive attack by Tennessee that is just airing it out, having a lot of plays, getting a lot of plays in on offense, if it's going to be anyone that's going to slow that team down, control the time of possession, it's going to be Georgia. They have the front seven to get after Hendon Hooker, to get after their rushing attack, to slow it down. They don't need to bring a bunch of guys down in the box like Alabama did. They can play their normal look with the players that they have in their secondary and just on their defense alone. If anyone, and it's what it's going to take for Georgia to win this game, is to get 1 or 2 turnovers and then grind it out on offense. They can't be too quick to score. What is going to kill them is if they try to play shootout with them and try to win this race. That's just not going to work.
You're kind of being a little unfair to the Bulldogs here. Okay. They played one ranked matchup. That was in week 1. It was a drubbing. They beat Missouri by 4 points. In Tennessee's last 5 games, they beat number 20 at the time ranked Florida, number 25 ranked LSU, number 3 ranked Alabama, and number 19 ranked Kentucky. Now, I know that you're going to try to challenge me and say none of those teams are really true players. They probably weren't, especially at that time. No. All right. I get it. but they're ranked for a reason. Okay, it's not like you can't tell me that Wisconsin's better than Kentucky and Wisconsin's not ranked, so it's basically an even draw there. It's not. Tennessee's played more real teams. They have. Georgia's last 5: Florida, Vanderbilt, Auburn, Missouri, Kent State.
Wait, but the debate here is not if who's played more real
Who's
teams.
prepped? I'm saying who's prepped. I think Tennessee gives me a confidence about them because they're more prepped.
Forget about who's more prepped. And this is the whole thing that was pissing me off this morning with all the people I was disagreeing with on the rankings. The eye test is it has more to it than people are willing to admit. Some dumbass commented on one of our videos, the eye test is just your bias. No, it's fucking not, because I can see which team is better than the other. I see that Georgia's defense matches up really freaking well in this game and is good enough to turn the ball over, to get some sacks, to get some force some 3rd and longs and get some stops. If one defense in this country is going to do that, it is Georgia's defense. That's who's going to get it done. If no one else can do it, Georgia can do it.
Here's
I know they lost Nolan Smith. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. I know they lost Nolan Smith, but they still have a very deep defense that I think Tennessee should be very scared of.
Their splits are very, very parallel, except on the defensive end. Points per game, 49.4 for Tennessee. Georgia has 41.8. Okay, again, Georgia hasn't played anybody. Points allowed per game, Tennessee only 21 per game. Georgia 10.5. It's absurd. They haven't played anybody, though. Total yards, 553 for Tennessee. Georgia, 530. Everything else, pretty similar. I'm leaning Tennessee. They've beat more teams that know how to play football at a high level.